Evil teams are always a fun part of every Pokemon game, but between all of the grunts and the admins and the leaders, you may not know about all of the cool and crazy stuff that they have to offer. And that is the exact kind of stuff that we're going to be looking at in this video. So let's go ahead and get to it. So evil teams like Team Rocket are well known for robbing and stealing from the good residents of the Pokemon world, so it's too bad that they don't have today's sponsor, Ridge Wallet, to protect them. The Ridge Wallet is the greatest wallet that I have ever owned, and I can tell you right now that I'm going to be using one for the rest of my life. And a big reason why are all of its protective features. I personally love it for its super sleek, low profile, yet sturdy design, but it also keeps all of the stuff in your wallet safe with its solid exterior, RFID blocking technology, and now you can even keep your Ridge wallet all the closer and more secure with Ridge's new MagSafe wallets. These wallets have Apple's MagSafe technology built in so you can secure your wallet right to your phone, and they also work with Android as well with the included strengthening tray. Ridge has even got key cases that do the same kind of optimizing for your keys as well, and they just debuted them in this new high dive blue color. Those are just a couple of reasons why I'll be using a Ridge wallet for life, but another one is because they also come with a lifetime warranty. And with a 99-day risk-free trial as well, and the fact that you can also get up to 40% off right now with Ridge's Father's Day sale by using the link in the description, there is no reason not to pick one up for you or your pops this Father's Day and get what in my estimation is the best wallet that you will ever own. And those are my words, not Ridge's. So check that out with the link below, and a big thank you to Ridge for supporting the channel. Okay, so first off, did you know that Ash's mom actually dated Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket? Because it's true, sort of. In Pokemon Live, which was an officially sanctioned Pokemon stage play, Ash's mom reveals that she used to date Giovanni before meeting Ash's dad. Granted, this play isn't the most canon thing in the world, but it was a legit official thing, so it's pretty wild either way. Another interesting thing about Giovanni is that despite being a ground-type specialist, he randomly uses a Kangaskhan on some of his teams. He also does not use a Marowak, who is actually a ground type, and that just so happens to be the Pokemon that Team Rocket killed that appears at Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town. It has also since been confirmed that Kangaskhan was once an evolution of Marowak as well, or at least a Pokemon that eventually became Kangaskhan once evolved from Marowak and essentially confirmed that long-standing theory about a possible connection between Kangaskhan and Cubone, but this was ultimately scrapped during development. With that said, all of these connections seem to be too significant to just be a coincidence, and seem to not only add to the Team Rocket Marowak storyline, but they could also be a remnant or an allusion, if you will, to Marowak's original evolution. The craziness with Giovanni does not stop though, because this man even has a twin, if you can believe it. In the Pokemon Pocket Monsters manga, Giovanni has a twin brother who helps him execute his dastardly deeds, providing yet another unusual element to Giovanni's character. Beneath Giovanni are, of course, Jessie and James, and some nutty stuff has happened with them, too. Believe it or not, in one of the versions of the Pokemon canon, Jessie and James actually get married. And not only do they get married, but Jessie becomes pregnant with their child. While it sounds like something out of a fan fiction, this actually happened in the Electric Tale of Pikachu manga, where at the end of the manga, Jessie and James are shown to be married, with Jessie being visibly pregnant. Another cool thing about James in particular is that his design was once a bit different to the way it actually turned out. In some concept art by Ken Sugimori, James is notably wearing a hat, which is a key change from his final design and is more akin to the design of a regular Team Rocket grunt. On the flip side, a cool Jessie-related fact is that the design of the female Team Rocket grunt from the Generation 2 games is actually a combination of Jessie and Cassidy's designs from the anime. She has the outfit and hair color of Jessie with the hairstyle of Cassidy. Team Rocket isn't the only evil team in the Pokemon world though, so let's change gears to some of the other teams. Zinzalin of the Seven Sages from Team Plasma has a bit of an ironic personality because when you run into him at the cold storage in Driftvale City in Pokemon Black and White, he complains about how cold it is, and then in Black and White 2, he ends up being the only one of the Seven Sages with an updated design, and this time around he's wearing a big, giant, fluffy coat, so he's apparently not the biggest fan of the cold. Even though he's part of an evil organization who's going after an Ice-type legendary and who tries to freeze over the entire Unova region. So it doesn't exactly seem like Zinzalin ended up in his most optimal career path. Another evil team member with an interesting wardrobe is Atticus from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, because despite being the leader of the Navi Squad base, which lies in the Tag Tree Thicket, which is an area that is basically dedicated to Grafaiai, with Grafaiai being a poison-type Pokemon, which is the type that Atticus specializes in, and despite his entire outfit also being paint-themed just like Grafaiai, he does not use a Grafaiai on his team. And from Team Star to Team Plasma once again, Colress has an interesting tidbit about him hiding in plain sight. Some of you may have noticed it already, some maybe have not, but his name comes from the word colorless, which ties into the main theme of Black and White being a battle of truth versus ideals, and how Colress isn't really on one side or the other of this fight, and isn't really a good or a bad guy in the games, and instead lies somewhere in the middle, which is a pretty neat and interesting way of reflecting his overall role in the games. Continuing the subject of evil team admins, Saturn is another one who comes from Team Galactic. Saturn has a bit of a trend for being mistaken for a girl, believe it or not, as he was mistakenly referred to as such in the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl adventure manga, and is also only one of a few trainers in the games who uses Pokemon with a 50-50 gender ratio who are the opposite gender to the trainer. A couple other trainers who do this are Bugsy and Will, both of which have also found themselves in a similar situation to Saturn, interestingly enough, and this could also potentially be why Coin, Saturn's ancestor in Pokemon Legends Arceus, is a female character as well. And on that note, in Pokemon Platinum, every single Pokemon with a known gender that is used by Team Galactic's admins are female. This would be thanks in part to Saturn and that previous fact about him and the gender of his Pokemon team. Continuing with the Team Galactic facts, a rather interesting one involves an NPC named Roughneck Kirby. Kirby mentions that his Pokemon was killed by Team Galactic, and when battled, he uses a Cleffa, a small, round, pink Pokemon that when coupled with his name is possibly a reference to the Nintendo character Kirby. To make this even more interesting, there is also a Pokemon reference within Kirby as well. In the episode The Fofa Factor from Kirby Right Back At Ya, the character Escargoon says the line, "If you look for trouble, your trouble will double." This is a reference to Team Rocket and their famous motto from the Pokemon anime, with the character who says the line in Kirby, Escargoon, being voiced by Ted Lewis, who voiced James from Team Rocket in the first few episodes of the anime. So we obviously mentioned the case of the dead Marowak earlier, and another interesting fact concerning that is that it's actually possible to skip the entire Team Rocket hideout portion of the Kanto games, which you would normally need to complete in order to get the Sylph Scope to in turn complete the Pokemon Tower quest with the Ghost of Marowak. All you have to do to skip this part of the game is use a Pokédoll on the Marowak Ghost at Pokemon Tower, and this will allow you to flee the battle and progress forward. This wasn't exactly an intended part of the games, however, because it was fixed for future Kanto iterations like Fire Red and Leaf Green and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Getting into some more Team Rocket stuff, there's also the fact that Giovanni, at one point, was planned to be a member of the Elite Four. In the 1997 Nintendo Space World demo of Pokemon Gold and Silver that leaked a few years ago, Giovanni is listed as a member of the Elite Four within the demo's data, which would have been quite the shock and would have certainly changed up the plot of Gold and Silver quite a bit, as in the final games, Giovanni is completely absent and a large portion of the storyline revolves around Team Rocket trying to get Giovanni to return. Another crazy thing from the Gold and Silver days is that the Imposter Oak storyline from the Johto arc of the anime was actually going to be a thing in the games as well. Also within the aforementioned demo of Gold and Silver is a sprite for an Imposter Oak character, and with it also appearing in the anime as well, it seems to be the case that it was featured in the anime because it was planned for the games, and then it was just featured in the anime anyway, even though it was cut from the games later on. Which is pretty interesting, and it makes you wonder what other stuff from the anime could have also potentially been planned, but cut from the games too. Speaking of the anime, this next fact involves Takeshi Shudo, the anime's original head writer. According to Bulbapedia, he actually based Jessie from Team Rocket on one of his old girlfriends, along with Majo from the Time Bokon anime series. One thing that I mentioned in another video recently, but I thought was worth bringing up here too, has to do with one Pokemon evil team that many people probably haven't heard of before. There is an evil team known as Team Kings, who come from a manga called Pokemon Horizon, which probably sounds familiar but is totally unrelated to the anime series. This manga is actually from the Sun and Moon era, and Team Kings themselves are pretty intense looking, so they make for a pretty interesting piece of lesser known Pokemon evil team lore. Speaking of the manga, the main Pokemon manga, Pokemon Adventures, is well known to have a lot of crazy stuff in it, and something on the crazier side of things involves Team Magma, and more specifically, their admin, Courtney. In the manga, Courtney was once a Pokemon coordinator and competed in contests, and even crazier than that, she was also friends with Daisy Oak, Blue's sister and Professor Oak's granddaughter. That's a pretty random pairing if you ask me, but it's pretty interesting at the same time, and it's the kind of character interaction that would definitely be interesting to see in the games as well. Another cool thing about both Team Magma and Team Aqua is that they used to be just one team originally. According to Junichi Masuda in an interview from Nintendo Dream Magazine, which was translated by Pokemon historian Dr. Lava, the two opposing teams used to be one and the same, with Masuda saying they were originally together, not separate. This is also potentially referenced in the games as well, which is rare for beta Pokemon content, as in Omega Ruby there is a Team Magma grunt at the Magma hideout who mentions that Archie and Maxie used to be on the same team. Within the data of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, there are also a couple of interesting unused battles with Team Aqua and Team Magma as well. According to cut content website The Cutting Room Floor, there is data present within the games for two battles with Archie and Maxie that don't get used in the final games. Archie's battle has him using a level 17 Huntail and Sharpedo, while Maxie uses a Torkoal and Camerupt at the same level. Based on the levels, these battles would have taken place at an earlier point in the games than when you first battle these two in the final games, and were possibly planned to take place at the Oceanic Museum, given that this is where you first encounter Maxie and Archie, and because the levels are also consistent with that point in the games. That is all I've got for you guys today though, so if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe for more if you haven't already, and if you like what I do here, consider checking out my Patreon to get some exclusive perks and benefits, and also consider checking out my Pokemon remixes wherever you get your music to help these videos to continue to be possible, and any and all support in any of those places is immensely appreciated. With that said, I will see you guys soon with another new video. Thanks so much for watching this one, I really appreciate it, and until then, as always, I will smell you guys later.